All right, welcome back to another Technique Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. Now, today I'm going to go through some stuff specifically targeted at your feet and your calves. And the main reason for that is we got a question come through and the person was asking us about things that they could do to help with their back pain. Now, this is one of those topics where there are so many avenues that we can go down. So, number one thing when it comes to back pain, you really need to go and see somebody in regards to it, because there can be a lot of different causes for it. Now, you can go down the route of doing strength training, which is something that as a facility and myself as a coach, we like to do with a lot of people, and we have been able to help a lot of people with that by doing good structured strength work in order to rebuild movement patterns and rebuild that strength base. And that shows a lot of benefit to the people that we have worked with long term. But what I'm going to go through is over the next few weeks, I'm going to do a series where we're kind of going to work from the floor up the chain on some stretches and some different mobility techniques that you can use, that we've used in conjunction with strength training to help people exacerbate or alleviate some of that back pain. Now, we're starting at the feet and we're starting with the calves, because one thing that you see in today's society a lot is people wearing boots or wearing heels, and as a result we start to see a lot of different foot problems, calf problems, things like that. Now I'm going to take you through 3 exercises that are quite simple and quite easy to do, and you'll notice that I've got 3 different pieces of equipment. So if you don't have these pieces of equipment, there are alternatives for it, but these are just using the lacrosse ball, a kettlebell or something similar to a kettlebell, and we've built out an angle board there which you can also use, say, just the edge of a step. Using these 3 pieces of equipment, you can really get into your feet, get into your calves, and that can work up the chain and sometimes take some pressure off that lower back. But starting with the lacrosse ball, this one's nice and easy. I'm literally going to just place that on the ground and stand on it. Now you'll notice that I'm not wearing shoes. Obviously, if I've got a hard-soled shoe on, I'm not going to be able to do this, but I'm going to take that and I'm going to place it just underneath my arch. Nice little advert for Bonds there, as you see the bottom of my socks. And all I want to do is I'm just going to lean on that lacrosse ball, step on it as much as I can, and roll back and forth underneath the arch. There's no real technique to this. You're just getting into that arch of the foot and really getting into those fibers on the base of your foot and just trying to release that. I'd go for 2 to 3 minutes each side. If you can do that once, even twice a day, especially if you're somebody that is wearing heels or is having to wear work boots with a heel on them, this is something that if you can do it every day, it can go a long way to really helping sore feet, sore calves, tight calves, and that type of thing. So that's exercise 1. Exercise number 2 is with a kettlebell. So what we're going to do, we're going to place the kettlebell there. Now, I like to use a kettlebell because firstly, it's elevated off the floor. The metal handle is hard. So when I do this and I really try and get into the top of my Achilles, base of my calves, it really allows me to get into those fibers there as I do it. Now, there's a couple of different things you can do with this. You'll notice that unlike foam rolling, where I'm going up and down the muscle, I'm actually moving from side to side. So I'm rotating from side to side when I do that. I'm trying to put some pressure down there and just moving from side to side. The other thing that I could do after I've done that about 10 to 15 times is just to start to dorsiflex and plantarflex my foot. And what that does is that's just going to start to get those muscles and the top of the Achilles really moving the way it's supposed to. So pushing my toes down and then bringing my toes back to my hip. And you can, if you're really tight, just through the meaty part of your calf there, you can move it up and down and do the same thing. What I like to recommend for people is moving across rather than moving up and down, which is why the kettlebell works so well. Rather than using a foam roller going up and back, this tends to kind of break everything up in that area a little bit better. So you'd obviously do both sides. I usually do about 10 to 15 rotations this way and then add in 10 to 15 movements of the ankle, plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, and then change sides, do the same thing on the other side. And then if you're going to do this as a little circuit, we then move on over to something like this. So this angle board is great. You can substitute this for putting it up against a doorway or up against the edge of a step. The thing with this, however, is you're able to get your full foot in contact with the board. So I can actually, dig my toes in and start using my foot the way it's supposed to, rather than having my toes in flexion. So the way I will usually teach people to use this, have my heels in contact with the ground, and what I'm trying to do is I'm going to squeeze my glutes, keeping my knees locked, and I'm going to try and bring my hips, knees, and ankles in a straight line. I'm going to hold for 30 seconds to a minute, nice big deep breath in, and then exhale out, and try and go into that stretch a little bit more. 30 seconds to a minute, and then you'll come on off. Go for a walk around, so just do a little lap, and then you can come back on. Do that 3 to 5 times. Now, you can do these 3 movements either independently at different times of the day. You can do them as a circuit if you've got the time, or you might just pick one each day and go through it. If you don't have the equipment of all of them, just pick one of them. Investing in a lacrosse ball. With the lacrosse ball, you could also use for that particular exercise. You might be able to get away with a golf ball or even a cricket ball, but it needs to be hard. Tennis balls usually don't have, they've got a little bit too much give in them. But there are 3 exercises you can use if you've got really tight calves, which could result in you having some back pain. It could result in a few other things, sore feet, stuff like that. But they're 3 exercises that you can throw in to your little mobility routine that will hopefully get you nice and loose through everything below the knees. All right, that's it for another week. If you enjoyed what we went through, obviously like it, share it, tell your friends about what we've got going on here. If you've got any questions, let us know. Other than that, we'll see you next week.